Bonjour classe, aujourd'hui c'est mercredi le 9 novembre and I'm going to give you a brief overview of what happened in class today for those of you who are absent. Of course, the very first thing we did was we did our warm-up, and so let's go here to our warm-ups. All right. So, mercredi le 9 janvier, we were to describe the scene and copy what they were saying. And then we just discussed to see what we thought was going on in the picture. So you were supposed to copy down these phrases, describe what was going on in the picture. So what we determined was this guy, he's a teacher, and he thinks he's super teacher man. The children love him. And this is the therapist, and he says, of course, lie down. We're going to talk about it. So, écoutez, répétez. Je suis super prof man. Je suis super prof man. Les enfants m'adorent. Les enfants m'adorent. And then, of course, the therapist. Bien sûr, allongez-vous. Nous allons en parler. Bien sûr, allongez-vous. Nous allons en parler. Bien sûr is, of course. Lie down. We are going to talk about it. So, that's what we did. That was our warm-up. And we will now move on to the next thing. Then I introduced a new verb, the irregular verb aller. So, I'm going to go over to where the notes are. And it should be here. And it should be, let's see, verb être, relations of location. Well, hang on a second. I must not have put it on here. Just a second. Okay, so I added it to the French 2 pre-AP notes and activities page. So here's the aller verb notes. This is what we went over. Everybody got a copy of this, and they were to put it on page 69 of their notebooks. So, first of all, we looked at the infinitive aller, to go. Écoutez, répétez, aller. Aller. The verb aller is called an irregular verb because its forms follow an unpredictable pattern. It's the only ER verb that is irregular. If you remember all the ER verbs that we conjugated, marcher, manger, jouer, chanter, all the ER verbs that we've conjugated, they've all been regular verbs, where all we had to do was we had to drop the ER and add the appropriate ending. Well, you notice aller ends in ER, but it does not conjugate like the rest of them. It is the only ER verb that is irregular, meaning that it has its own forms. It doesn't follow any other pattern. So, the only way to learn the verb aller is to memorize it in all of its forms. So, let's go through and pronounce it. Je vais, tu vas, il va, elle va, on va. Now, when we do on va, I also need to add right here that it can also mean we are going, because you can use on va in place of nous allons, because they both can mean the same thing. Nous allons, vous allez, ils vont, elles vont. All right, so we pronounced the verb, and then we talked about the 3 situations in which we use the verb aller. First one, of course, is the one where we talk about going places. On va au café. On va au café. Marc va à la bibliothèque. Marc va à la bibliothèque. Je vais au cinéma. Je vais au cinéma. Nous allons au lycée. Nous allons au lycée. Then we talked about how we use it to talk about things that are going, how things are going in general. And this should look familiar to you because we did this when we learned how to greet each other and ask how each other's doing. We use the va form of aller with ça. Ça va? How are things going? Ça va? Ça va bien. Things are going fine. Ça va bien. Ça ne va pas. Things are not going fine. Ça ne va pas. To talk about someone's health or well-being. So when we want to talk about how someone is doing specifically, like their own health or their own well-being, emotionally, psychologically, whatever, then we have to get more specific, and we don't use ça and va anymore. We use tu and vous. Comment vas-tu? How are you? Comment allez-vous? How are you? Formal plural. That's the one you use with adults or groups. Je vais bien, merci. I'm fine, thanks. Je ne vais pas bien. I'm not doing fine. So we went through these notes. You glued them onto page 69 of your notebook. And then after we did that, we went and did a foldable. And I am going to show you a picture of it in just a second. So I went on to the same page that I was on, and I pulled up the interactive notebook, what you should have and on what page, because I've already added what's supposed to go on page 70, which is the foldable aller. So you're going to get this, and you're going to cut it out and glue it onto page. Here it says 59 because this is a 2 pre-AP. You're going to do it on page 70. And that's the last thing we did today because we ran out of time. So tomorrow we will continue on with the verb aller. Bon après-midi. Au revoir.